Hello and welcome to Nikolay's genetics lessons, and in this video I want to share with you some ideas of startup business in biotechnology. Some people, when they hear biotechnology, they think that they have to invest millions of dollars or they should have PhD in chemistry or in biotechnology, but this is not quite so. Sometimes you don't have to invest anything except your time and effort, and today I'm going to explain about one of such idea. And this is going to be my second video, and you also can check my first video with business ideas. I will post a link to that video in the comment area underneath this video. First of all, today's idea is not going to be for everyone, only for those people who live in close proximity to coastal area. But good news that about 40% of the world population lives within 100 kilometers of the coast. Can you imagine that about 40% of the population lives in about this area? So this line about 100 kilometers thick. So imagine that 40% of our population live in just this thin area. And inland we don't have much of population. Those 60% of the rest population lives inland, but as you see, the spread of the population is very disproportional. Today I want to give you information as small piece of puzzle with each slide, and on the last slide I will show you the whole picture how you can earn money from this idea. This idea came to me when I took plant pathology class in the university and also entomology class. So take a look. Probably some of you heard about nematodes. This is worm which can be found in the soil, and it is thousands of times smaller than normal earthworms, which you probably get used to see after, for example, rain. So these nematodes can be found in 1 cubic centimeters in a quantity of thousands. So this is how small it is, and you probably won't be able to see it with naked eye, but you probably will need a magnifying glass to see it. But though it is so small, it causes a lot of damage. For example, bacteria also very small, much smaller than this nematode, but also cause a lot of damage to crops, and viruses even smaller and also cause a lot of damage to crops. But today we are going to talk about nematodes only. So plant parasitic nematodes are costly burden for agricultural crop production. Over 4,100 species of plant parasitic nematodes have been identified collectively. They cost an estimated 80 to 118 billions of dollars, not millions, billions of dollars per year in damage to crops. What are the damages that caused by nematodes? Nematodes are microscopic worm-like creatures which inhabit the soil and damage the roots of plants, impairing their ability to take up water and nutrients. Symptoms of this damage include stunting, yellowing of plant leaves, and loss of plant vitality. Here on the right you see normal root system, and here is damaged root system, and you see where it was damaged, and of course surface area of the root system on the right is much greater than on the left, so it can absorb more nutrients and water. Nematodes can make all cash crops infeasible, generating losses of more than $3,000 per hectare in Brazil. But please understand that it doesn't mean that only tropical countries would be affected with this nematode. Nematodes can be found in all climate zones. The intensive use of the soil, the lack of the crop rotation, and the use of the varieties without resistance are decisive factors for the proliferation of these worms that attack the plant roots and affect the water and nutrient absorption. Now one more piece of puzzle, and as I said, this idea doesn't require money, and basically you can get money from the thin air, or more correct, from the ocean. So every year about 6 million to 8 million tons of waste crab, shrimp and lobster shells are produced globally, about 1.5 million tons in Southeast Asia alone. where 75% of the weight of the tuna fish can be extracted as fillets, meat accounts for only around 40% of crab mass and 60% is a shell. In the developing countries, waste shells are often just dumped into the landfill or the sea. In developed countries, disposal can be costly and can be up to $150 per ton in Australia, for example. So as you see, you can get this product whether for free or you even can get money from the companies that produce this waste in order for them to get rid of it. If you didn't get notice, here I have this formula of the chitin. This is polymer that consists of these repeating units. And as you see, we have here nitrogen, which makes this molecule a fertilizer for plants, because plants, most of them cannot fix nitrogen except very few of them, and they do it in cooperation with nitrogen fixing bacteria. Plants and animals need nitrogen because it's found in nucleic acid and amino acids, so proteins have nitrogen as long as DNA and RNA molecules. But if you think that I want to propose waste products in the form of crab shells as fertilizer, this is not quite so. And here's my last slide where I will put all information, all those small puzzles together, and you will see the whole picture how you can make money. Chitin is the second most abundant polysaccharide in nature after cellulose, and it largely exists in waste from the processing of marine food products such as crabs, shrimps, and krill shells, as well as fish scales. It also can be found in insects and in spiders, and spiders are not insects if you didn't know, and also in mushrooms. And finally, let's take a look at this picture. We see here larvae of the nematodes, which go through the different stages, growing bigger and bigger. Here is an adult, and through this life cycle of the nematode, they produce eggs. And what is interesting, that eggshell of the eggs have chitin, and also pharynx of the nematode contains chitin. In the soil we also can find bacteria that feeds on the chitin, but there are not many of these bacteria because chitin is not found in large quantities in the soil. But if we add powder which contains chitin in the soil, then what's going to happen? Number of these bacteria that feeds on the chitin would increase thousandfold. And what does it mean? Imagine that, for example, per 1,000 people we have one person who has a flu, or even worse, has AIDS. So what are your chances to get this disease? It's probably would be pretty low. But what if 950 people out of 1,000 would have this disease? That means that there is great chances that you also can get this disease, and the same rules applies here. So when this bacteria becomes so abundant, it just kills nematodes and its eggs. As you remember from my previous slides, this nematode causes about 100 billion in damages to agriculture. So what your steps have to be: first, find the producer who produces waste, and then you can just use simple greenhouse to dry it, because you're not going to get it dry, so you have to dry it. And you also have to make a powder. The smaller the flakes, the better, because it increases the surface and contact area with the soil and bacteria. And then you can sell it in small quantities or wholesale. Take a look. 4-pound bags, that means 2 kilograms, cost $20. So about $10 per kilogram. No bad for something you get for free. And wholesale prices, as you see, 20 kilograms, about $90, is about between $4 and $5 per kilogram. Also not bad. And as you remember, it's not only kills nematodes, but also it is good fertilizer because it contains nitrogen. And as I said, if you live close to the ocean, you can turn this idea into the business. If you live far from the ocean, you can apply this idea for your own garden. It can be very good source of the nitrogen for your plants and also would help you to control nematodes which damage plants. And also chitin, as you see, is found in the insects. So if you have some insects which lives in the soil, also this bacteria would kill such insects and would help you to control spread of different diseases, because sometimes not only insects or nematodes would be damaging, but also when they damage root system, they also create a point through which different bacteria, fungi, and also viruses can penetrate the root system and kill the plant or damage a plant. If you like this idea and want to learn about other business ideas, I have another video and I am going to provide a link in the comment area underneath this video, so please check that video as well. And this is all for today. Subscribe and see you in the next video. Goodbye.